Monday
Hello,
Miracles with Miss Blipper.
loves.
It's been 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks we've done Sunday Miracles with Miss Blipper.
Oh yeah, back on Monday. Wow,
Back on Monday.
reassigned.
I appreciate your flexibility, by the way.
Ah, I no problems whatsoever. What I don't do Sunday night, I'll do Monday, and what I don't do Monday night, I'll do Sunday. So I just switch things around.
Um, did I tell you I have a guest? Hey Sniper, hey Ellie,
Hey,
uh,
Chipmunk.
Jeff Bailey coming up on Wednesday,
That
and
name
he
sounds
is.
really familiar to me. Yeah.
You definitely have mutual friends. I know.
Hmm.
He wrote the Yoga Mind, which is a exploration of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and how it corresponds to A Course in Miracles.
Hmm.
It's a really unique blend of yoga and Course in Miracles. So we're going to talk about.
I have a place in my heart, I must say, for it's like cross pollination between different um philosophical schools or spiritual studies schools. I love the mix and match.
I'm doing good, Ellie. How are you? Let's start.
Hmm.
I wanted to start somewhere else, but we can always wind our way over there.
Okay.
Um, for I talk a lot about that cross pollination of yoga and of course miracles, and very often Buddhism. And I think Buddhism, I think Vedanta and Buddhism and of course miracles fit in together awesomely. Maybe even more so than Course in Miracles and traditional Christianity.
Wow. Okay.
If
Of
I
course,
were to
we need.
explain any of this,
Yeah.
what's that?
By traditional Christianity, you're meaning like the Roman Catholic Church, I suppose, or the Protestant Church, modern day
Catholic,
Christianity.
Protestant, yeah, Protestant, Roman Catholic Church.
Hmm.
If I were to say that the world is has a dreamlike quality, a Buddhist would nod their head and say yes.
Of course.
Um,
Hmm.
and anyone in yoga would say yes. But if I were to say that to a Catholic priest, there'd be a discussion, maybe even a heated discussion, at least on one of our parts, and it wouldn't be me.
Really, for dreamlike
Depending,
quality?
depending, if I were to say, how about if I were to say illusion? God did not
Yeah.
create the world. If I were to tell a priest God did not create the world, what do you think the priest would say?
Yeah, that would flip them out for sure. Yeah.
Anyway, um, so now, if I were to say to, if we go way traditional,
Mhm.
like as the original Christians, uh, if I were to say to a Gnostic that uh, St. Thomas, Mary Magdalene, the world is an illusion, they'd say, well, yeah, you're late to the party, guy.
Right.
Um,
Where have you been? Right.
Sissy's
Hello.
here. She says, Miss Blipper, hey, Tiger King.
Who says
Hi, Anna.
hi? Anna by
Adam, it's
15.
you.
All right. Hi, darling. Ah, Adam's here too. Hi, Digital Dog, and Tiger King's here. Hi
Hey,
to
let me
all.
say
What?
to Adam real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Adam, Paul Hederman is coming up on Sunday. Paul Hederman has his YouTube channel, the Zen Bitch Slap,
Oh, okay.
and
Great.
we're going to talk about sobriety and A Course in Miracle. No, well, non-duality.
Mm-hmm.
Probably less Course in Miracles. He's not a course student, but
Mm-hmm.
he might have some insights.
Shout out to Sissy Soul C Sisters Stars. Uh
Um,
oh. Adam has a question.
yep.
I have a question. Did we create the world or did the world create the world? It's a beautiful question. How do you want to go for that?
Um, well, the world cannot create itself.
Mm, okay. I'm fine with that.
Um, and we have I believe that God did create the world, but He did not create the world that we experience.
Right. He didn't create perception,
Right.
maybe.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that distinction.
Yeah.
Um, and that the world that we experience, what we perceive, is an illusion, as we were alluding to uh, earlier. And there is a real world that exists. Maybe we could say beneath the perception as a reality. Sometimes when we say beneath, it makes it sound like there's an actual layer. Um, but we can experience and see the real world, and we can do that by the gift of creative extension.
Expansion. Yeah. The creator's expansion. Yeah. Sure.
Yep.
Extension. Good. I like that. Love.
So we were talking about cross pollination.
Yes. Now, I've
About
met people actually. I mean, a long time ago, I had a discussion about cross pollination with somebody who absolutely couldn't stand it. So, um, cross pollination, and we're talking about cross pollination for philosophical and spiritual ideas, kind
right,
of like what is it called that you do show and tell? Oh, I use this vocabulary. I use this text. Oh, we could, call that this by this other language in this other place in this other culture, or this other language, this other culture, this other study, this other school explains it this way. Now, me personally, I love that because I love to try and find the common threads. I love to try and stretch my vocabulary and try to find the place where a reflection can be clean. But not everybody likes that. Not everybody
they don't.
likes that as an exercise.
Um, why do you think they don't like that?
Um, I think it has to do possibly with abstraction. Um, I think that that there is something like there's abstract art, there's abstract mind. I mean, it's hard to for hard to explain to somebody like you and me. We both love poetry, for example. Some people can't stand poetry. you know like why poetry, they ask, because, well, there's some abstraction there. They're taking some terms and looking at other things, how things sound, kind of the message behind the message, metaphor, all sorts of things, but not everybody is comfortable with that. um and that's my guess. They don't like abstraction so much. But even the abstract can it there's a way that the abstract itself can be presented in ways that are positive and uplifting. So I think that's part of it too. I don't think it's all personal taste. I think some of it's presentation.
Adam says in a conceptual world, rigidity. Did I say that right?
Rigidity. Hmm.
Rigidity
Hmm.
equals strength equals safety, which is horse poopy.
I agree that
Even the horse
I
poopy.
yeah, I think it
Wow,
is. I think it
strong
is
words from you and
poopy.
Adam.
Mm-mm. I kind of I have to agree with that. Maybe it's just like pony poopy and not really horse poopy, but you know, definitely in that area, donkey poopy. Yeah.
Sissy says, so on point. I made a goal to share all different kinds of ways to meditate, express yourself, and embrace creativity, ultimately doing what is best for you. Capital YOU. So, I mean, if she's in a capital, she's got to be talking about Ms.Blipper.
No, no, but I'll tell you today, I didn't have a whole lot of time. I was just taking a breather from my the translation work that I've been doing. And so I did stop by Solzy's channel, and there she was talking about Sophia. And I just loved it. On point. She like kind of went to a place that I hadn't heard her speaking of before, not in that particular vocabulary, but happened to be a vocabulary that I like very much. Shout out for Sophia.
Um, I'm hoping to have Clark Strand come up. Are
Hmm.
you familiar with Clark Strand?
Can't say I am.
Of shoot, give me a second. I'll look it up. Editor of a magazine, Parable,
Okay.
I think, which is sort of like a Gnostic type of.
Sounds like it.
Um,
Could be.
yep, no longer in existence. He has written a book with his wife um, on praying the rosary.
Wow. Interesting. None of us forcing beliefs or unconsciously shirking another's autonomy. Absolutely. Free will, Solzy, all the way. Rigidity comes with RNT. What is RNT? Chipmunk, what is RNT? I was thinking about Chipmunk today, and the work that he has been doing and sharing on resonation and vibration and all that. And it's very interesting. I read everything, even if I don't comment on it. But um, for me, in the map that I usually refer to, vibration is 1/3 of the equation. Uh-oh. See you. I just see me. You escaped for a second, and there was
I did.
just me.
I guess I think I froze up.
Hmm.
But we're back. Yeah, he wrote a book. I don't know where we left off. Clark Strand.
The my sound just went off. I don't know why. Hold on. No, my sound's okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Mm.
Um, the name of his book is The Way of the Rose: The Radical Path of the Divine Feminine Hidden in the Rosary.
Okay.
Um, and I'm hoping to get him to um, come up and hang out with us, as well as his daughter, who wrote a book. I think you would love this book, by the way. The Flowering Wand. Um, Rewire, Rewilding the Sacred Masculine, Lunar Kings, Trans-Species Magicians, and Rhizomatic Harpist. It ranks in one of my all-time favorite books. And they he has a big thing with he had a visit from the Sacred Mother
Nice.
who told him and his wife to start praying the Rosary. And he was a Buddhist. And he's like, the Buddhists actually have a profound tradition of invoking the sacred feminine as well. Tara, Tara, I
Hmm.
believe, is the version of that.
I have a
Doing,
very good friend who changed her name to Tara. Yeah, I've been to Tara in Ireland. Yeah. Uh-oh. For some reason, I don't hear you very well. It's very the volume's way down.
um, let's see. I don't know if I can fix this or not. I don't know if my
My
connection
speaker.
is wonky.
We've had some good questions come up, and I hate to skip them because I like them. One of them was about communication. Let's see if I can get back. Hey guys, how do you keep your verbal communication so well maintained in these days where there is a loneliness epidemic? I think that I don't know anything about well maintained, but I do think that verbal communication definitely helps the loneliness epidemic. I mean, what could be better? There you are again. Wonky, he's wonky. There you are.
How do I sound?
Same. I was
Well,
trying to answer Evan's question, which was, "Hey guys, how do you keep your verbal communication so well maintained in these days where there is a loneliness epidemic?" And the only way I could really answer it was is that I don't know anything about verbal communication being well maintained. Like, I don't really know what that means so much. But I do think that verbal communication is key to helping out the loneliness epidemic. Humans need humans.
they do. You know what else they need?
What?
Touch. I think there's a touch deficit.
Hmm. My grandmother always believed that. My grandmother was a nurse, and she always, as a nurse, she found that the power of touch, basically, that people, health wise, responded to it.
Right. It is a it's an undervalued medical commodity that needs to resurface,
Hmm.
in my opinion. I found a microphone, but I don't know how to work it. It's supposed to plug in somewhere.
Yeah, we use so many different, um you know touches as significant a sense as any of the others. Absolutely, if not more so.
We're going to be amplified, I think. Well, nothing. Hey, Michael. All right. The amplification did not work.
Okay, no worries. Anyway, Evans7764, help me out if I didn't really understand your question very well. I'm sorry.
Um. All right. What I wanted to hear was the cross pollination idea of um. Let's go back with what we were saying. Illusion. The world's an illusion. Uh, through the lens of Course in Miracles and Kabbalah. Kabbalah.
Okay, first of all, world as an illusion, I just want to point out that it's really more about understanding or recognizing that our perceptions are one thing. When we say the world is an illusion, I think we're really trying to say is, to acknowledge that we're just perceiving what we're perceiving, and that's what it is. It's a perception, and it's not more
I
than a
think
perception.
I think it depends on who we talk to.
I agree. I agree. That is true. That
Right.
what you're
I think
saying, because I've heard it different ways. That I would
right.
agree with that statement.
I think Ken Wapnick and Gary Renard, who are very strictly non-dualists, would say the world simply does not exist. We're not talking about just perception. We're talking about this world does not exist. And I think even in yogic and a Buddhist sense, well, probably more yogic, Vedanta, they would
Hmm.
probably say the world does not exist across the board.
Which is another way of saying we're trapped in perception, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that. But a lot of people want to, hey, Lucy, a lot of people want to take it to then what does exist?
Um, love, life, living, experience, truth.
I always love the every loving thought is real,
I like
and
that.
that we can create the real world um, through our loving thoughts
Be
and
co-creators, yes.
co-creators, right?
Mhm.
Which always makes me to wonder, why don't we? Of course, most people don't know that we can do that, but even when we do get to know, you know, we have a tendency not to. I sort of feel we should have that should be our mission in life is to co-create a world of absolute love.
I agree. I mean, how many times have I thought, "Wow," and I've seen it. I mean, it's not just me thinking this, but I've seen it in other people who are like kind of decidedly highlighting um, the immense human potential that there is. I mean, truly could create co-create um, a really beautiful scene,
Huh?
you know,
You know,
for
o-
everyone, for everyone. Um,
overnight, overnight, we could co-create a world in which almost every starving child could get a meal by
for sure.
tomorrow. We have the resources for that.
Abolish homelessness. Everybody could have, a roof over their head and, place to shower and a place to poop and a, place to join with others and a place to eat and have food. All that could be done
Yep,
fairly easily too.
and quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but for whatever we think it's an impossibility, or someone else should do it, or hey, I got more pressing problems. Super Bowl's next weekend. And if I lose my bet, I'm expected to sing a song that Lady Sky picks out for me and sing it on YouTube.
Oh, is she picking out the song for you?
If my team loses, she picks the song for me. If her team
Wow.
loses, I pick the song for her.
Danger zone, because we know she'd pick a good song too.
She would pick a good song. She'd pick a good song that I would not be able to sing. Um,
No,
but
I think she's kinder hearted than that. I think she'd just pick a song which would be
you think so? That's my great hope.
to the point. Yeah.
Um, and because everyone loves hearing Lady Sky sing, I would want to pick a song that would highlight her voice.
Okay.
Uh, but maybe one that also stretches her just a little bit. So we got a week to practice. I think she'd surprise herself singing something slightly outside.
You know what song I would suggest for you to suggest to her if you win?
What's that?
I love you, baby, and if it's quite all right.
I
Because
can do
she's
that.
always talking about Valentine's Day now. She's on the
That's true.
countdown.
Hey, Mustafa. I actually sang that on a karaoke night
Oh,
up here.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I like that song.
There you
Um,
go, Lady Sky. Idea, bing.
so it's we do wander a lot in our conversations. So now I find myself wandering towards co-creation.
All
Um,
right.
and I always love the thought of, hey, Praveen, um, what Marianne Williamson, her answer when people say, why did God create a world in which children are allowed to starve and people are homeless and there's warfare and violence and political discord
And
and whatever?
he didn't.
He did
We
not.
did it.
Um,
We do need to be, I mean, of obstacles to that dream of a beautiful experience living in the world of obstacles. That's a big one. Responsibility,
yeah.
people kind of taking on responsibility to make that
Um,
world.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what you and I were talking about backstage. How I love the word responsibility, our ability to respond. We have the ability to respond to every tragedy, to every bit of separation, for everyone who feels a lack of love, for name it. We have the ability to respond, and to respond nowadays almost instantly. We could do so much. One of my early conversations with Scroll Sniper was hemp construction. We can actually make buildings out of hemp.
Right. Almost anything out of hemp. Yeah.
So we'd have viable crops for farmers, um, and we would save a large amount of forest. Um, and if we replaced a couple of times a week one meat meal with a plant-based, we would be able to virtually end the deforestation of the Amazon, which is largely cleared for not for lumber, but for cattle grazing, so that more people and percentage, a small percentage of people compared to the world population, get to eat a certain way, while everyone else, you know, doesn't. And this isn't an anti-rich or anything, or even anti-Western civilization. But sooner or later, we have to realize we're all in it together.
True. True.
Um,
Eh, That the whole, in fact, the haves and the have-nots, it's kind of like there's a responsibility there too in the name of humanity, the recognition, hey, we've got one planet here and we're all humans just the same, you know, no matter, what you look like, what sex you are, what your, you know, what silly boundaries you've been taught to respect. And by silly boundaries, I mean geographical lines, I don't mean personal boundaries. But um, yeah, eh, but again, so that is mine, and it does require again a responsibility, a mental responsibility, and an emotional responsibility. No, because the physical
right.
responsibility is going to follow the mental and emotional responsibility.
You know what worries me? Not to get geopolitical at all. Is America is running out of fresh water. It's not going to happen overnight or anything, but uh, certain parts of the country experience a very profound drought. Um, and there's other countries that will have a little more abundance of water. We have wars that have been based upon oil. We're eventually going to have wars based upon water. That America deserves clean drinking water, no doubt. But we could be doing something right now to make sure that happens. Instead, we wait until there's a crisis and then we react. We don't respond. We react.
Well, there's been, for example, they've had desalination machines, which are, take the salt out of the water so that salt water becomes, drinkable. They know how to do that. They've got the robots and the machinery to do that. They simply haven't yet effectively found a way to make it profitable, which is um, the problem with lots of things. Like until it can't, you know, be profitable to somebody. Somebody can't be at uh, material advantage. Then it doesn't take place, which doesn't work because it's got to come. It's got to come from people's hearts. If
Right.
they're just doing something in order to make a profit, it doesn't doesn't work.
Um, and that's not. I'm not taking what you say as some people might say. Well, that's anti-capitalism.
Right. I'm a
Um,
socialist. Okay, I'm a socialist. Don't worry. I'm not worried about it.
um, a lot of people, they don't want that. They don't want that label. Of course, it's not really a label. Um, but how about we got rid of the label socialist and said, Miss Flipper, you are a caring human being, and I appreciate that about you.
I just want everybody to feel well. You got a toothache, there's somebody who's good at dentistry. Great. They help you out. You can help out doing something. I'm really great in the garden. I can help out in the garden. I can plant plants. I can plant food. Oh, I can do all kinds of things like that.
Right.
So I think everybody's got gifts, and I think if that that motivation, no, was there, I think a lot of people would step up. But yeah, it's going to take that idea of responsibility, like
Right.
that recognition that we are all in this together.
I'm not anti-profit, but at a certain point, when we have an insane amount of profit at the suffering of others, when you have people, when you're one of the richest people in the world and you are paying pennies, and you're quibbling about health insurance and how much time people have off and this and that. At what point, or and again, not to get political, although this will certainly sound that way. If you put the richest person in the world in charge of cutting jobs and benefits of those less fortunate, do you think it's going to be an equitable decision? Do you think it's
No,
going to
I, I,
who's
I
it going to
mean, what
benefit?
I'm thinking about is the prison industry. I'm thinking there's like somebody, locked up in jail having to do slave labor because they couldn't pay a $12 parking ticket or something.
Right. Sissy had a great insight. She said, "Fear is more valuable than salt, and salt is more valuable than gold."
Fear is more valuable than salt?
Yeah.
How so? I need more
Um,
information.
I think the way she is saying it is that we have placed a high emphasis on living in a fear-based society.
Oh, that I'd
That
agree.
fear is actually a
That I'd
commodity.
agree. It's like it's taught, and it's taught in all sorts of ways, and they know it, and it's effective.
It is.
Mm.
Um, and of course, the Course in Miracles, in my opinion, not the only one, but a very effective one, and maybe the best, is an antidote to fear.
Yeah, i- it's all voluntary. Anything good is voluntary. So if we as people are willing to take our fears and look at them and ask, hey, is there a better way for me to deal with this than being caught in this fear loop?
That's funny. Is there a better way? I don't know if any line really sums up Course in Miracles better than there has
Right.
to be a better way. Imagine if Bill looked at Helen and said, "How can we make a profit off of this?"
Right.
And she said, "There is a way, and I'll
Right.
help you find it." Um, and that's how we
Yeah,
think, though,
they messed up because of course, the message didn't sell as well as the fear.
right?
But
Um, Mustafa says, honestly, we need to understand where fear comes from. Is fear part of human life? Is it possible to live without fear? Would life be beautiful without fear? And he says, yes, absolutely.
honestly, we need to understand where fear comes from. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to understand that more. Is fear a part of human life? Is it possible? It is a part of human life. Is it possible to live without fear? Um, I'm not sure. I would hope so. Would life be beautiful without fear? Yes.
I think
Fear,
it's
yeah.
I
Who
think
was
it's
it? Tell
possible
me
to live
again,
without.
Nina Simone's line. Freedom. There you go. For her, freedom was living without fear.
I want to make clear that people know we're talking about psychological fear. It might be very valuable to be afraid of rattlesnakes when you are in rattlesnake country. Um, but that is the type of fear that keeps you, I mean, you should have a healthy respect fear of putting your hand in fire. Um, so we're
But
not
again, is
talking.
that isn't that just is that fear or is that caution? I'm saying if you're familiar, like you're in rattlesnake country and you know how, where rattlesnakes hide and how they behave, um, it's really about, knowing and understanding more than it's about fear. I mean, we'll have to ask Chipmunk. Is Chipmunk afraid of squirrels?
Um, Good question. Good question. So,
I
I mean,
like it. He
that's
said fear is layered on many levels, and that is true. I agree with that statement.
um, you know, one of the things I loved about Kenneth Wapnick is boiling things down to just being kind. Um, imagine, imagine if that was a commodity that our religious institutes based everything on, and uh, there was an insistent, it was taught and lived. You and I've talked about this before. I think the biggest issue facing Christianity is lack of an actual practice. That you can be a you can be a Christian, and as long as you go to church, and you don't even have to go to church every week, as long as you say uh, Jesus was the Son of God, and that when you believe in Jesus, you go to heaven. You can get away with a whole lot of stuff,
That's right. Just, go confess and then burn crosses on people's front lawns.
right? I used to tell my Catholic school friends, my Catholic school grade school friends, high school friends, they're like, "Aren't you worried about being a yogi, practicing Buddhism, or the other weird stuff that you do?" Like, no, I was baptized. I've been confirmed. All I got to do is say I'm sorry on my deathbed, and I'm good to go. Hey, Joshua.
I'm technically in limbo, I think, because I haven't been baptized. So as long as um nobody, does any like emergency measures on me, I think I'm gonna just stay in limbo.
Hey, Stargazer. Um, Joshua wants to know how you doing today,
Hello,
Miss Blipper.
Joshua. Amazing, energetic Joshua.
That's the single best amazing energetic Joshua impersonation I've ever seen.
Ah, bless his heart.
Um, Ellie says peekaboo. So,
How
uh,
is everyone? How is everyone?
it's a good question. Hey, Sarah. Ellie is back again.
So you asked me a question and I didn't really answer it, and I kind of wanted to. Ask me it again if you remember what it was, and it had to do with cross pollination and Kabbalah.
Oh,
And do you remember what
um,
it was exactly?
not anything specific, as I'd just like to hear your take of Kabbalah and A Course in Miracles, and where do they connect? Where do they coincide? Where do they part ways?
Um, I am the way that I would connect them is that both the study, both Kabbalistic studies and studies of A Course in Miracles are both kind of, in my opinion, aiming at uh, an inner study, like what's going on inside us, inside our minds, inside our hearts, inside our experiences, inside our lives, and looking at how um, a relationship with being, with truth, uh, can be amplified in helpful ways to ourselves and others. And
Right.
it could be, like you say, kindness, forgiveness, loving, letting go of impediments, just the really easy decision, which is okay, you acknowledge that there are illusions, but that they're not your preference. So both are spiritual schools, so to speak, which are primarily about looking within.
What would Kabbalah say about the world being an illusion?
What would Kabbalists say about the world being an illusion? Um, Kabbalists would say that there isn't just one world. There's like several. Um, and so the Kabbalists are not, they might be talking about the creative world or the world of formation or, Kabbalah kind of goes into several different dimensions of worlds, not just, one world that we are perceiving. So, again, back to an inner description. The world of the soul, for lack of a
I
better
always
word.
like that. I always like that. I found that you give a big welcome to Opie the animal, the gutter punk king,
Hi, Opie, the animal, the gutter punk king.
which is a pretty awesome channel name, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
Gutter punk. I like that.
and he was brought here by Ducky, who said that this is a friendly and positive place to be, which is um, awesome to hear. I appreciate it. The reason this is a friendly, positive place to be is the friendly and positive people who show up and hang out. You know,
I don't know those people.
no, they don't come here. It's a shame. Um, hey,
Know
Tabarka.
thyself.
Um, I always love the concept of the 1% reality and the 99% reality in Kabbalah. And our role through every act of love, through every creative endeavor, through every act of kindness, we are um, extending the 99% more into this 1%,
To the one.
which is the ultimate expression of cross pollination, isn't it?
Mm. I don't. I don't know if I think of that as cross pollination exactly. I think of it more like a seedling. People would say like an acorn holds the entire oak tree. It's got
Right.
that creative process of, or the map, so to speak, inside the seed. It's already there.
Um, okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Are there different versions of Kabbalah? Says Stargater's mom.
Yes, there are several different schools because there have been different teachers. There's Hermetic Kabbalah, Christian Kabbalah, kind of hardcore Orthodox Jewish Kabbalah. There's a lot. There's several. Yeah.
Right. Um, Now all of it is based though upon the ancient and original, um, which springs from Hebrew, which springs from Judaism.
Yeah,
So,
but even there, it's like Sumeria, it goes far back. You want to get into the Hebrews, fine. But then before the Hebrews, I mean, Hebrews were absolutely fantastic at writing things down and studying things down and transmitting, and a big respect for education, everything. But it wasn't limited to the Hebrews. You know, Mesopotamia was kind of a hotbed.
well, it was a mess of Potamia.
They
It
made a
was all
mess
over
of
the place.
that
Yep.
Potamia.
You couldn't, man. We were stepping in Potamia all over the place back then. Uh, stars, Stargazer says very interstellar. Autocorrected, interesting, but I like the change. Um, Cypress said searching for the truth will require cross pollination, like cross referencing. The truth can be found many different perspectives.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking in terms of language of the course. Do we ever find the truth in perspective, or is when we surrender perspective?
Do we ever find the truth in perspective? Um, Basically, perspective and truth are like two completely different categories of things. However, that said, there is like perspective that leads you towards the truth and perspective that leads you away from it.
Right. This is where in Vedanta they would use the neti meditation. Neti is Sanskrit for not this, not this. So whatever perspective crosses your mind, you examine it and realize that ultimately, um, in a Buddhist term, interdependence.
Mhm.
Everything. This is Nagarjuna's middle way. That nothing stands independent from anything else. So every perspective is going to be based upon infinite other perspective. Um, you
Do
know,
you know something about, is it Nidra's net? Is there something called Nidra's
Indra's,
net?
Indra's net.
Indra's net.
Yep,
Tell
it's
me
a
about it.
basically a holographic principle. Indra had a net with infinite jewels, and every jewel reflected um, infinite other jewels. And so you have basically the infinite nature of the universe itself
Cool.
in a layperson's nutshell. Um, Stargazer says one's perspective is also one's truth. Now, I would think,
No,
yeah, but I was going to say because you hear that a lot. I'm only speaking my truth, um, but it depends on how we are um, thinking of truth. If we're thinking of truth as reality, reality exists independent of our perspective and the truth that we think that we believe in. If I'm a clever debater, uh, I might be able to shift your perception, but I can never shift your reality.
yeah, for me, that is like, again, big T and little t. And we've gone into this with big S and little s, big self, the
Right,
one united self, which, where we see, the Christ in each other, the Christ, basically. Um, Big S. And then little s is this like little rinky dinky, idol worshiping version of uh, myself and my limitations, my limited self. And I would think of truth as the same thing. There's truth, which is always true, which is consistently true, which is um, true all around. Otherwise, it isn't the truth, it is something else. And then the little t is just a way of taking the big T and kind of make believing that um, it is shared. But it's to be careful of that idea that perspective and truth are the same, because that's then people get into a combat of wills. My truth, no, my truth, no, my
right.
truth, no, my truth. Oh, it's like this, it's like that, it's like this, it's like that. It's like, nah, you know.
So let's dive into what Stargazer's offering us. That my truth is the reality I perceive. It is changing rapidly, but my truth can only be what I perceive. Um, Is that so?
I don't think so. I think that there can be a truth that one accepts that one didn't make. No, I don't think I have to say that um, truth for me is my perspective. I just
I
don't. I
agree.
don't feel that way.
You and I talked about this earlier backstage that um, our perception is always limited, and truth can't be. Truth is by nature unlimited. Truth can't be limited, but perception, by their very nature, are always going to be limited to the amount and the ways that we can perceive anything. I can only perceive things through what yogic and Buddhist philosophy called the kleshas, which I mentioned. Klesha means affliction, the five afflictions of the mind. So I'm viewing the world, and I don't even know that I'm doing this. I'm viewing the world through my attachments, the things that I'm attracted to. I like this, I like this, I like this.
Yeah,
Um,
we absolutely do not need to be convinced by the things that we see,
right.
even the things that we think.
Yeah. I would say, especially the things that we think. Um, because none of our everyday thoughts are really based upon the perception of reality. Um, our thoughts are based again, those five places: our attractions, our aversions, uh, our fear, our belief, our fear of death. We are afraid that we're going to die because we believe that we are a small, limited ego. We can't see outside of that ego box. So we're going to have a perception limited by the belief that we are an ego. And then the last of the afflictions is ignorance, that we don't even know who we truly are. So, and we gather a whole lot of perception by our senses, and we can only translate. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's so small of what we take in physically, but we can only handle so much of it. So, if we could like fully utilize our sense of smell,
Right,
um, you know, we would be like dogs or close to it. You know what I mean?
right.
But it's severely limited. So my perception of smell is uh, is faulty. If I were to base reality upon what I could smell, basically it would be my running shoes behind me and my kitty litter box in the hallway, and my reality would be smelly shoes and a stinky cat. Um, I don't want that reality, Ms.Blipper.
How much of that, I mean, isn't most of that though just kind of like our ideas, everything that we've been taught, all the past placed into a making of the future, which is like the past, not leaving any space for now?
Yep. Like 100%. Um, because my perception of Miss Blipper is based upon every conversation I've ever had with Miss Blipper, which has been uh, well over a year, a beautiful year. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you very much for the lovely perception of you that you offer me.
Mm.
Uh,
I'm going to change that right now. One moment.
oh man, I spoke too soon. Uh,
I'm not kidding you. I found this. I found this. Yesterday it was on the street. I left it on the street like if somebody needed to come and get it. And they didn't. It was still there. And so I was like, okay, this is mine. There you go.
I got to say, um, my perception hasn't changed though.
Mm. It doesn't change.
It doesn't change. No,
I'm gonna have to cackle.
the cackle might do it. The cackle might change my perception. Let me read a comment real quick. Our new friend Opie said, Yogi, come over so I can mod you on my page. You will gain followers. It is all networking with small channel. There's some with over 100K and me with 350K YouTube subs to make friends. Awesome. I will do that. I appreciate it very much. And you are modded up, Opie. Mustafa says, Miss Flipper, you are flowers. Sissy loves it.
My name is a flower. Okay. Off with
Um,
the witch hat. Did make me
so
feel better for a little while though.
my, and the course, chapter 13, I was reading this morning. Uh, my perception is never of the present moment. It's always of what my every conversation with Ms.Blipper and my projection of what every conversation might be in the future. But this is why, lesson 28, if I could perceive this desk as it truly was, I could be enlightened. Like any object can enlighten me. This pen,
You asked me last week to bring up the past. Um, what was it about the holy instant that was like, you know, grabbing me so much, and that I just felt this real drive to like concentrate on the holy instant in so many ways. Um, really in just one way, which is inviting it. Um, but it's precisely for that. It's like that opportunity of a different way is always present. It's always present. Um, if I let myself, you know, go there, see it that way.
and the only way I think we can do that, right, is by at least for a moment, let go of the limitedness of our perceptions. That knowing I can't physically see the light in which you are made of, but I
Mhm.
know it's there.
Right. There's something that it says when it's talking about, the letting in of the holy instant, with the invitation of the holy instant, is to recognize, however, that all also means that there's no private thoughts. It's like acknowledging that we're all like swimming in this, you know, y-
Thought
mental
filled,
universe.
mental still, thought
Yeah.
filled still. Um, that's also a good
But
thing.
back to responsibility, on the other hand, that idea that there are no private thoughts um, does lend itself quite easily. It's like, oh, I should be more attentive then about what I'm doing with my thoughts.
I agree, and I love the word. Hey, the monk. I love the word attentive. Um, I don't know. You probably are much better at this than I am. Words that are connected or stemming from the other. Attentive and tending and tenderness always seem to run together for me. That when I am attentive, I am caring. When I am attentive, I am offering care. I'm offering tenderness. I'm offering kindness. Um,
Attention.
and I always kept that in mind as a caregiver. That
It's a
my role was
beautiful
to be a
word too, because you can be attentive, which is like an observation idea, the idea of observing or being observant without being judgmental, without, assigning a value to whatever it is you're being attentive to.
right.
It's not based on judgment necessarily.
And it said caregiving. Yeah, I told this story quite a bit. How my channel came from the my channel seems to be the logical conclusion of caregiving for my parents and my stepdaughter. And I take the role of caregiver uh, very seriously. And if you're here participating on the channel, uh, I care about you, and I get the same. One of the reasons why I like having you up is because I always get the same feeling that you generally care about the people that show up, that are participating in our conversations.
I feel like all the people that show up are teachers. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
All right. I'm going to interrupt and change course because we have, we've been cooking for I think about an hour or so,
Oh, okay.
and we've yet to reach into the fishbowl at all.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Sebastian.
Fishbowl.
Sebastian, what's your number nowadays? Where you're at subscriber wise, my friend? So you know what? Let's break up patterns here. Let's take a note from Squirrel Sniper's yet to be published book, um, Break Patterns, and reach in and grab yourself an imperative for you.
For me.
For you.
I do that every once in a while in the morning. It depends on the day, but sometimes I do. All right. For me, this probably isn't good. I feel like the Holy Spirit's going to crack me in the head. Okay. Don't be afraid. Well, here we go. Forget not this. Don't forget. The role you give to him is given you, and you will walk the way you pointed out to him because it is your judgment on yourself.
I like it.
Big mirror.
Um,
Back to responsibility.
Back to responsibility. It ties in.
Mm.
Sissy would like one.
Sissy. Soul Star. Sissy Soul Star.
Hey,
Soul
Heavenly.
Star Productions.
Heavenly Star says, hey to you.
I'm asking especially for Soulsy Sophia. Soulsy Sophia. Show your brother that he cannot hurt you and hold nothing against him. There you have it.
We've been working on that theme, but I talked about that a bit this morning with you earlier. Defenselessness.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Not defenselessness. Defenselessness, yeah. It again, defensiveness seems to have a lot of tentacles, or it can. And uh, this one that I just read for Soulsy, that your brother cannot hurt you. I've struggled with that in big ways. Like um, that hasn't been an easy lesson.
I don't think it is for anyone
Hmm.
because we've all been hurt. So how can you tell me that my safety lies in my vulnerability? How can you tell me that my safety lies in dropping my defense?
Yeah, and we've been kind of taught that being vulnerable that way is a good thing, and being exposed that way is a good thing. But I guess defensiveness would be just the opposite. Defensiveness would be like not admitting that we're vulnerable.
Right. Um, Anna and Heavenly both would like a imperative.
Okay. Is that Annabelle 15?
Yep. Not to be confused with the previous model of Annabelle 14.
Okay. Yeah. No
That was
confusion.
yesterday's.
Annabelle 15. It says, this is for Annabelle, and it says, do not attack what you have made to let you be deceived. So, don't attack what you have made to let you be deceived. So apparently you've made something that's allowing you to be deceived. For thus you prove that you have been deceived. Don't take the deception highway. Turn
Hey,
off.
Cat says, "Oops, we overstepped. You got here just in time for imperatives. Diving into the
So,
fishbowl.
yes, you did,
Uh,
Kat, but somebody asked after Annaba, who was it?
Heavenly.
Heavenly. Everyone, please pray for heaven. Okay? Is that heaven and heavenly? There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry that you're not feeling well, Heavenly. Sorry, she's not feeling well. I'm sick
And
again, but trying to get better. First, you, my friend, and thank you for ringing the bell, Ms.Blipper.
okay. Heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. Heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. Heavenly, heavenly, heavenly. Remember that what you deny, you must once have known. And if you accept denial, you can accept its undoing.
We can trace that back to responsibility too. If I take,
Yeah, it's a little bit. I think it's even maybe a little bit tougher because it looks like there's like an kind of unconscious possibility in that. Remember that what you deny, you must once have known. So somewhere in there, there's like an implicit forgetting, but then the forgetting is tied to denial. But if you have accepted denial, you can accept its undoing. So, if I've denied something, I can hold that up and I can say, can this be corrected, please?
hey, Cat, do you want a big dive into the fishbowl?
Or a little dive?
Surprise, Tiger King's not here. Normally, this is his favorite part.
Oh, well.
You got to be here to get an imperative. You can't. There's no
To be fair, the
bypassing.
last time I wasn't in the live, and I did give him an imperative anyway, so he's good to go.
Cat said yes.
Just remembering, says Chipmunk. One of the things that I thought was so interesting about remembering and forgetting is that the easiest way to remember something is to try and forget it. And that's very tied into denial, too.
Toy Pups wanted one too.
Hi, Toy Pups. I so enjoyed
And
seeing Toy Pups the other day. And I'm going to explain one of the things I really did enjoy seeing her a lot. Um, and it's because I struggle sometimes with YouTube when, I mean, I completely understand people uh, not wanting to, be seen by everybody or, they're not comfortable with that. I can totally understand that. But I have a personal problem with uh, voices that are detached from faces. I struggle with it. Like I'm not good at podcasts, for example. All right, toy pups, right? Oh, wow. This one just kept on, it was a biggie, and it just kept on like coming at me. I hope it's not too long. It says toy pups, it says, dear, it says, let him see the reflection of God in you and share it with you. How beautiful is that? Let him see the reflection of God in you and share it with you. It needs no interpretation. It is clear. Clean but the mirror, and the message that shines forth from what the mirror holds for everyone to see. No one can fail to see. No one can fail to understand. It is the message that the Holy Spirit is holding to the mirror that is in him. He recognizes it because he has been taught his need for it, but knows not where to find it. That's a big, long message.
It
That's a
is a big
lot.
long message.
But the imperative part of that message was let him see the reflection of God in you and share it with you.
It is beautiful.
It is beautiful. It needs no interpretation. It is clear. Clean but the mirror.
Um, Guys, if you look up above, I want to mention our new friend Opie the Animal Gutterpunk King. Um, has I think he's live right now. If you want to get to know him, come on over and um, introduce yourself. All right. So where were we, Ms.Blipper? Anyone else wanted an imperative? Oh, Sniper wanted one.
Sniper. Chipmunk. AKA. He likes the left hand at the bottom, the depths. The dee dum. Okay, Chipmunk. This is kind of longish too. It says, "Fear it not." I don't know what it is. I'll have to keep reading. Fear it not, for it means only that you have been willing to let go your hold on the distorted frame of reference that seemed to hold your world together. In the transition, there is a period of confusion in which a sense of actual disorientation may occur. Sounds like a big shift is happening, Chipmunk. Fear it not, for it means only that you have been willing to let go your hold on the distorted frame of reference that seemed to hold your world together.
That sort of goes back a bit to our discussion on perception as well, doesn't it? Our distorted reference. We are referencing
Right.
a world based upon the distortion of our perception, and we're calling it reality, which
And
is
it's
why,
true that when a shift takes place with perception, you can feel a little jiggle joggly, a little like yeah, I don't know. It's like we had crutches and then the crutches are taken
right?
away and you're actually good to go, but you don't always feel that initially. Sometimes initially it feels wonky.
Well, I mean, and uh, people who have a non-dual experience, a non-dual awakening, um, are left very, for lack of a better word, discombobulated because now every frame of reference that they had has been taken away.
Mhm.
Um,
And that
Susan,
is part of the process.
right,
That is part of the process of taking everything you perceive and offering it up.
right, and I mean that's the whole nature of in the manual for teachers on trust, in which all the other characteristics of God's teachers are based upon that first one, and
Mhm.
that learning to trust means that we lose the sense of dependency on what is not meant to be have our trust,
Right.
um, and
Judgment,
that's
for
difficult.
example.
Yeah,
Like if we're living
that
by
is
judgment, forget it still.
Right. And ultimately, if I'm depending on anything other than the source itself, um, then I'm not practicing complete trust.
Mhm.
And even stepping in that direction can be scary. Speaking
Yeah,
of firsthand experience, that even on those first few tiers of the ladder, rungs of the ladder, it's a scary place to find myself. I've been
yeah.
talking about that for a couple
I've
months now.
never heard anybody say that disillusionment felt good. You know?
Right, right. Um, and yet ultimately, we're left in a better place.
Right, right. Yeah, if they weren't healthy illusions to begin with, and I don't even know what a healthy illusion is. It sounds like an oxymoron. That's a word I do like, oxymoron. Um, healthy
I was
illusion.
talking about, I was talking about that this morning, oxymoron.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. Someone came in, said something I said was an oxymoron, and I I said something along the lines of taking offense that anyone would consider any of my oxes to be morons. Um, I have nothing but the
You
cleverest
got all
oxen in the world.
defensive about it. You got all
I did get.
defensive.
Hey, you would defend your barn animals too, wouldn't you? Um, hey, mom. Hi, mom. It's me. We had a baby. It's a boy. Is
Wow.
the I love that name. Cat is laughing, still rewatching.
Hi, mom. It's me. We had a baby. It is a boy. That is a funny name. How is everyone? I don't know. They
Oh,
say I should know, but I don't know.
Adam. Adam would say imperative.
Absolutely. Here you go, Diogenal dog. Adam. Adam. I was reading about Adam today. See his abundance in everyone. Woohoo! And you will know that you are in him with them. We're sharing. There's big banquet at the party.
Hey, do you remember which one was Cat's?
I haven't done cats yet.
Oh, Cat. We haven't done it. I thought you did.
Nope,
She couldn't find it. She went back to look. It's my fault. I apologize, Cat. I thought you had done Cats.
not yet. But I'm happy to do cat. She didn't get the big long one. No, that was Toy Pups. No, I haven't done cats yet. Shall I?
Yep. Before we do Cats, let me read. Hi, mom. It's me. We had a baby, and it's a boy. I wouldn't never get tired of saying that. I made this channel because if anyone remembers the commercial in the '90s, the 100 commercial, they had to say the name because they couldn't afford a collection call. I do
Oh,
remember that. Hey, M3. Happy Monday to you.
I don't remember that. One of these days, I'm going to pull an imperative for Jack.
Oh,
Then we're going to
hey,
pull
official.
imperatives for your cats.
Oh, it's Josh. It's Joshua.
Oxymorons. Josh wants one too.
No, Joshua is hi, mom. It's me. We just had a baby. It's a boy.
Oh, nice one, Joshua. Whoa. Okay, cat. This says you should go with a brother twice as far as he asks. Hmm.
That's a tough one.
Yep, it
I
is.
try. I try. I try. But it's tough. And I think I'm actually pretty good with it. So for I want people who don't feel that they're very good at it to know it's okay to not feel like you're very good at it. because it's like everything else from the course. It's a practice. Don't think you're supposed to be good at it. If
Right.
if
I
you're good at it, you wouldn't need an imperative.
no, it reminds me there's another quote in somewhere in the course, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, if your brother asks something silly of you, just do it, whatever it is that's silly,
Right.
because it's silly, like it's like dust, like who cares? But then I see that that's very hard for a lot of people,
I mean,
because
that's
again, the training, but an expectation or an expectation that we're giving of ourselves to understand something. No, be free. Be
um,
free.
it's actually in the Bible too. Jesus said, if your brother asks you to walk a mile, um, or what was about the cloak. Um,
Mhm.
not only do you if he asks for your cloak, you give it to him, and your shoes. I don't know the actual quote any
Wasn't there
longer.
the one with the cheek too? Give him the other cheek.
Yep. But there's a reason for that, and it is uh, even with the allegories in the Bible, um, that it is about transcending the ego. You know that the reason it's the ego. Hey Sue, that always wants to. The ego will never turn the other cheek.
Right. I agree. And it's also a stepping stone in the recognition of the oneness.
Right, right. Hey, I want to give a big shout out to the Bud Files who gave me a shout out on one of her live streams 2 days ago. It's a very, very, very sweet thing to do, Sue. Thank you so much. She had nice things to say about my channel and my
God
awesome guests.
bless the Bud Files. But, but, I must say, when you first said that, I thought you said the butt files. And I'm like, what is Eric talking about? Butt files? Now
That's
it's
a
like,
whole nother. That's
I
a whole
don't know
different
what to
channel.
do with
That's a whole
that.
different channel. That's my alternative account.
Bud
But
Files.
yes. Hey, Mark. Joshua says the butt files really.
Yeah, butt files, Joshua. We went there.
Thank you. M3. He says yes. The Gen 49 for which? What's in Genesis 4:9?
Genesis 4:9. I don't know. I've been reading about Genesis, about, the 6 days and the first Adam, and, how that story all relates, the Genesis story from a Kabbalistic perspective. But
Right.
I'm not a Bible thumper, and I'm really not good, especially at the numbers.
Um, you can also read it from a quantum physicist perspective.
Mhm.
Genesis. It's really, really interesting seen that way. Um, and I was going to ask you, have you read any versions of the Zohar?
Bits. I haven't read it through. I've read big bits, yeah. Separate, yeah.
We should do that a
Read
little bit.
bits of it?
Through the course of the year, we'll read a little bit, and through the course of the year, and we'll see as can we cross pollinate Zohar and A Course in Miracles in any way?
Mm.
I
All
have
right. Let me finish my translations first, though. I'm working on two books, not one. Two,
right. I have uh,
which is enough to
uh,
drive anybody crazy.
translation of Rab Berg's Zohar on my nightstand, and it's one of my I've talked a bit about nighttime contemplative reading. You want to read something that doesn't really super captivate you because you're preparing for bed. You don't want
Right.
a page. You don't want a page turner. Uh,
Right.
I'm going to go to bed out. I got to get this next page in. You want to go? Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to sleep.
The
Um,
old knockout school
but
of knockout reading.
you also uh, planting seeds to take into your subconscious mind as you go to sleep, and then throughout the day. So Zohar is a really good book for that, as
Hmm.
is the Upanishads, as is of
I'd
course
agree.
miracles.
I'd agree with that statement. Yeah, I can. I
At,
can.
at
I
this
can get that.
yeah, at this point, the course, the text is very good for me doing that because it's so familiar. Um, so I wanted to ask you about that too. But first, Kat says next doctor's appointment is March 10th. She had a doctor's appointment tomorrow, long awaited doctor's appointment. That it started to snow yesterday, and she's not able to make it.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's March 10th, just over a month, Kat. It won't be long. And three says, "Oh wow, two books at the same time. Yes, that would be very time consuming." What I want to ask you, are you still working with that? Are you still working with those last lessons, the Holy Instant, or have you decided
Yeah.
to?
Every day. I don't know how many times a day I say these things to myself. There's two of them, and one of them is when I'm thinking about people, other people. When I'm thinking about other people, I say to myself, I give this person uh, to the Holy Spirit as part of myself, and I know that they will be released unless I want to use them to imprison myself. And in the name of my own freedom, I want them to be released, recognizing that we'll be released together. That's what I do when there's a person. But then throughout my day, I remember about the Holy Instant, and that is, um, it's kind of like a shout out, but it's not a shout. Um, but it's like a way to come right into the moment of the present, which is, I would give you, I would give you this holy instant. Be you in charge? Um, and I would follow you, knowing that your direction gives me peace.
I like that. Hey, are there still people that are not like the everyday people, but people from the past that you're still working those big hey haystacks, those big forgiveness lessons with?
I suppose with I mean, I want to say everybody. I want to say that I'm doing those forgiveness lessons with everybody on the planet, and truly, yeah. Meaning, and I'll try to describe that a little bit, which is, in my opinion, we have all already been forgiven. It's like as the course says, God doesn't need to forgive because God doesn't condemn. So
Right.
forgiveness is definitely in the human in the human realm. But I personally think the idea of learning to understand that neither God nor Jesus nor any enlightened being is, holding your hand to the fire, meaning no one, there isn't any outside force that um, is not forgiving to us on a spiritual level. And so I just think that's a very important thing to learn. And my way of learning that is to try to remember to share that idea. No condemnation. It's like your Wapnick fellow. He wrote a book, Love Does Not Condemn.
Right. Um, he also said along the lines of how do you know if you have to keep forgiving? And his answer was, are you still here?
Exactly. You're still here.
For ultimately, where what we want to do is forgive the belief, the weighty belief in the illusion itself. We
It
want to,
is the way back to the bigger picture.
right. The illusion exists because we have a belief that we are separate from God. And the only way that we can overcome that separation, the seeming separation, is to forgive it.
Right. A selective remembering of only the loving thought, not of our selection.
Right.
So I saw that Adam had asked for another fishbowl extraction, but maybe he missed the first one.
Maybe. And our friend Mark, Mr. Something Else,
Oh,
says, Ms.Blipper, ma'am, can pull my card. I already know what the card will be. So these are imperatives and not tarot cards.
yeah, these are imperatives. Imperatives are just like statements of things to do. So, Mr. Something Else, is that it?
Yep. And Adam, did you want another one?
What's that?
Just checking with Adam if he wanted another one. He can let us know before we wrap things up.
Okay, Mr. Something Else. A couple of them just fell out. Mr. Something Else. You're imperative. You got two. You had one imperative inside of another imperative.
Never happened before.
It has never happened before. And I don't know which imperative, right or left goes first, but I'll start with the left. It says, let the Holy Spirit remove all offenses of God's Son against himself, and perceive no one but through the Holy Spirit's guidance, for he would save you from all condemnation. So, in summary, go with the innocence. Innocence. Good way to look at things.
Yep.
They're innocent.
Can't go wrong with that.
Original innocence. It's what they forgot to teach us. The other one says, let us not save nightmares, for they are not fitting offerings for Christ, and so they are not fit gifts for you. Take off the covers and look what you are afraid of. I have to run that one by again. I get the let us not save nightmares. I get that they are not fitting offerings for Christ, and so they are not fit gifts for you. Take off the covers and look what you are afraid of. So I guess what we're afraid of is letting go of the nightmares. According to this, that makes some sense.
Gives us something to work with. A
Hmm.
nightmare. We like to feel busy. Um, that that's always for me. That also sums up the seeking and the seeking and the seeking. That we're perpetual seekers. Well, I will awaken, not when I forgive, but when I get that next best technique. When I learn the newest meditation. When I get the next blessing from the next saint.
I love what you're saying here, because apart from kind of chemical addictions that people might get into, be it cigarettes or drinking or drugs or whatever it might be, that's just the tip of the iceberg, man. There's like the mental addictions department.
Right,
What
right.
are we addicted to mentally?
Hi, Laura. And the list is near endless. And we don't even realize that we're addicted. We're addicted to our thoughts. We're addicted to our opinions. We're addicted to our beliefs. We're addicted to
Judgments,
our judgments, our
prejudices
divisions, our prejudices. We're addicted to our political uh, idealisms. We're addicted to particular news stations.
our little stupid senses of humor.
Why did that feel personal? Yeah. All right. So is there a meeting that I can attend? Is there a 12-step group?
I'm addicted to, oatmeal and lentils and potatoes and
No, wait a minute, guys. Is it just me? Or were you just throwing those out randomly? Like, or was that directed? What do you think, guys? Was that directed at me? Um, Toy Pup says, Miss Blipper is so funny. We love her. Hmm.
that was get back. No, that was get back. That was throwing some shade. Yeah.
At me?
Who, me?
Um, uh, Mark says, Eric, what is left hand path? It depends on the school that we're participating in. The left hand path of Tantra is more of the magical. But in the end, left hand, right hand doesn't matter.
That's me. I'm like ambidextrous. Runs in my family. My daughter's ambidextrous. My father was ambidextrous. My brother's ambidextrous.
Oh, that's interesting. Me personally, I'm an Aries.
Oh, who?
I'm an Aries.
Oh, me too, actually.
um, Toy Pup says she is throwing some serious shade, Yogi, all in your direction. Um,
Hardcore, hardcore.
she says Miss Whipper is coming. What's FP? FPF. Coming for you, Yogi. Miss Whipper is coming for you. That's the problem with
Yeah, we got
hanging
another
out with
Aries in the room. Mr. Something else, too.
other Course in Miracles students is they know they can throw shade at you because they know they're going to be forgiven.
Yeah, I know. It's like the cross on the lawn.
M3 says, I was curious, Yogi, if you may have studied any writings of Jewish mysticism. I have read. I have read, but I haven't studied.
Over here, over
Miss Blipper
here.
has studied. I've been a long time dabbler. Miss Blipper has been more immersed.
Miss Blipper's been translating a book, and it's not exactly on Jewish mysticism, it's on Kabbalah. Two books, actually. And
I
so
have a question.
sentence by sentence, yeah, day
How do
by
you dis-
day,
how
hour
do you
by
dis-
hour.
how do you distinguish between Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah?
Um, I almost want to say that, well, it depends who you're going to ask on that because different people are going to give different answers and no one absolute answer. But I want to say Kabbalah is more of a kind of spiritual science, more like.
So I I wonder what I'm getting from is Kabbalah can stand aside from um, the Jewish faith, right?
Mhm. Yeah, but it for the study of Kabbalah, it's going to be very helpful to um, understand some fundamentals of the Torah, and it's going to be very helpful to understand the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, because of layers. So, there's kind of an exoteric way that you could understand, say, a story or a narration. and all ways of approaching that information's on a surface level is going to tell you the story and then narration and this happened and that happened and these are the characters. But then there are other layers um, that can only be arrived at through some sort of um, contemplation of the alphabet, of the letters themselves, and double meanings and double entendres and stuff like that. It's been a theme, I must say, for me in these days, a personal theme, meaning it's kind of like in photography, if any photographers out there, or in art, but sometimes it's not like what you're photographing, like, oh, yeah, here's a pen, and it's the object, and I'm photographing the pen, but rather, how am I photographing the pen that's making it interesting somehow? The light around it, the environment around it. Is there too much noise in the picture? Something else. So, uh, my the theme would be that there are layers and layers. There aren't. It's not always surface level stuff. Could say the same, for example, with dreams. People who get into, writing down dreams. It isn't necessarily the writing down of dreams isn't necessarily because you're focusing on the dream. This is what the symbol means, and this, oh, I was thinking about that yesterday or whatever. But the actual process, what is the actual process um, leading you towards? So, because there's a level of learning, say with swimming, and you've taken swimming lessons, and then you've used those lessons, and then you know how to swim, and it's a different kind of knowing. You know how to swim, just like
Right.
that you know how to tie your shoes. If you've gone through that process. But it's not always obvious like that's what's going on.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Stargazer says, I think, um, where did that go? Hello. I think the Frankists gave Kabbalah a bad reputation.
The Who's?
The Frankists?
The Frankists.
Yep.
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
And Sissy had said, Ms.Blipper has inspired me to study. In all seriousness, it doesn't mean universal studies equate to people pleasing or falling for anything. Optimism and an open heart are the true precursors. And M3
I
says,
think that
yes,
I think
I've been
I mean
reading the
that's
Zohar and the Sefer. How do you say that last part? Yetzirah? Did I
yeah,
get that right?
etc.
And trying to better understand due to curiosity and how it may align with the teachings of the Torah.
I mean, there's some really interesting, kind of stuff. There's a lot of like codification. And that's a whole nother part, and the whole part with the numerology, the gematria is another part. But there's also a big part, and it's one of your words that you use a lot, which is process. What is happening in the process while people are reciting these things, while they're meditating on these things, while they're studying these things. There's a lot of, kind of making oneself available to greater truths, to inviting them.
Mark, thank you so much, my friend. Mr. Something else, just to the super chat. It says, could you both please elaborate on left hand path and right hand? Pretend I'm dumb. I'm not that dumb, but I can pretend.
I really don't know very much about it. I think Chipmunk would be our guy who would is more on the left hand path than the right hand path.
Um, yeah, it all depends on, again, on the whatever you're studying. It's the right hand and left hand path of yoga. For yoga, the left hand path is tantra, and it is the more mystical. they themselves would say it's the more immediate and direct path. Just school
Left
of
hand.
yeah, instant awakening. Verse is right hand path, which is more slower and methodical, and it builds a foundation. Um, so in
What's the center? Is
um,
there a center path, the middle way? It's sounding
Buddhism would be
Buddhisty.
considered Buddhism. It might be considered the middle way, but there's really not a middle way. There's at least not in yogic thinking that because they're not that distinct. Now, like in some
Okay,
forms of
balance then. So there's got to be
right,
some element of balance.
um, yeah, I mean, people who are called to that more directed experience aren't looking for balance; they're looking for the experience. So we could say if you're looking for balance, you would go with the right hand path, which is that slower and methodical. So you're always going to be in that sense. You're never stepping into an area that feels overly unfamiliar to you.
Oh,
And the left hand path, they might throw you in the deep end.
oh,
Um, that's the school of, some people call it Aleister Crowley, the musician, the left hand path of yoga. To me, it was more of and I guess because they think the left hand path is magic. And now in schools of magic, the left hand path is one that might have more spell casting for personal fulfillment and maybe against perceived threats or enemies, while the right hand path is going to be one of purity. That
right.
you're
I was thinking of balance in terms of the balance between the right hand path and the left hand path.
M3 says, would it be similar to yin and yang? No, that would be um, uh, yin and yang would be the essence of the Tao expressed in both negativity, which isn't negativity as this is bad, but negativity as in like
A
the
force, a negative force.
yes, yes, which is
That's how
balanced
it
out
is
with
in Kabbalah as well.
right.
We
Interesting.
do have, you know, although in Kabbalah there's, in the tree of life there's also a center column, but there is a column on the right and a column on the left,
Right. So it's not
column of
light versus dark.
diversity
It
and
it could be considered light versus dark in some sense. And again, um, in tantric yoga, and this is the path that Alistair Crowley took. He wasn't. Um, it's hard for me to equate him with yoga, although he called it, the left hand path of yoga. Um, but it was more magical, and it was considered a darker path.
hmm.
But again, dark doesn't necessarily mean bad.
Yeah, in Kabbalah it would be more like flow and constriction, expansion and constriction.
Okay. Mark says, "Oh shit, Yogi-san. I have a Logan Wolverine beard. The gauntlet has been thrown. He wants to have a beard off with me. I get frustrated with my beard because
Really?
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one part of it will grow like crazily fast, but everything else is growing slower. So it's hard to live stream and not get completely distracted by one aspect of my beard doing crazy stuff. And I'm
I
like,
think
I gotta fix
you
that.
should consider yourself lucky that it's not your eyebrows
It's
that are
true.
misbehaving.
That's true. Um, Yogi and third eye drops would be a fantastic conversation. Uh, your voices are even similar. You two would have a great riff session. I don't know what third eye drops, but if you want to invite him over sometime, um, I'd love to have the talk with anyone. What I love about what I love about guests very often is getting out of my own way, asking a question, and listening.
It's a wonderful name, Third Eye Drops.
It is M3 says, yeah, I used to have a thick beard that was at the middle of my chest. Came to upkeep. Sissy says, agreed. We're not agreeing about the beard, are we, Sissy?
About the eyebrows, that you should consider yourself lucky.
Or nose hair, or ear hair. All right. Well, I guess we will get ready to wrap things up. And Sissy says, I nearly spit my drink. This was just a pretty all encompassing conversation. We went all over the place.
We did. We didn't do so much on defensiveness. We'll do that next time.
Next time. M3 says, yeah, nose hair and ear hair is pain as I've gotten older. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that next week. But I have no regrets because I enjoyed everything we did talk about.
Me too. Me too.
She says, no, there are multiple conversations happening. She wants to make everyone know for sure that she was not referencing herself for nose hair or ear hair or having a beard.
Kat says, so another week of being defensive.
Well,
Damn tootin'.
you just point at me.
Put up those shields, everybody. On with the shields. We could all draw pictures of the shields.
Adam, sweating and smiling, Adam says, what topic did I return to? Body and facial hair.
What would your shield look like if you were going to make a shield design?
That's a good question. That is a good question. It would probably have a beard. It would have lentils.
Bearded shield.
With lentils all over it.
Can see that.
Yeah, some kind of vegan shield.
Pretty scary looking.
It would. This is for sweating and smiling together. It would be a mushy pea shield, shield, because it would keep everyone at bay.
You're defending against mushy peas, I'm sure.
Well, it would be everyone. There you go. That Sissy says, or a drop of armor and the mushy peas. I think it would help protect me against,
You're going to use mushy peas to defend against mushy peas?
I am. Don't question my logic. M3 says, yes, definitely a Viking shield and a beard. Sissy says, sink. Yep. Cat's rolling her eyes.
What's the opposite of defensiveness? Defenselessness. Got nothing to defend against.
Yeah. Hey, Allie, thank you, my friend.
Yeah, you don't really have to defend absolute innocence, do you? You just got it. So it's a given.
Yeah. That's the nature of defenselessness. There's just nothing to defend. You've dropped the shield because you have no need for a shield.
It's also recognition.
I was going to bring up we can do that really, really quick. Manual for teachers, as I have it here. The
trait.
Yep. It's short. The longest one is trust. And everything leads back to trust. You can't have defenselessness unless you have developed. You can't have deep level of defenselessness unless you've reached that level of trust that they talk about in there. Because when you are trusting fully in the source, if you're trusting fully in the Holy Spirit or Jesus, then Jesus is your very line, your one line, your only line of defense. You are so rooted in truth and the truth doesn't need to be defended, because we were talking about truth is innocence. So there's no need
So is that
to.
a different that's different than faith? Because I remember that faith kind of comes from the other ones. Like what you're saying now about defenselessness, it says, I remember it saying that about faith. But there's a whole other section which is just defenselessness,
Yep, but
that
it's
it's
very
not
small.
as strong.
Yep, you want to hear it real quick? God's teachers have learned how to be simple. They have no dreams that need defense against the truth. They do not try to make themselves. Their joy comes from their understanding who created them, and does what God created need defense. No one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad illusions. How
I
poetic is
love
that,
it.
by the way? Yeah. The more grotesque the dream, the fiercer or more powerful its defense seem to be. Yet when the teacher of God finally agrees to look past them, he finds that nothing was there. Slowly at first, he lets himself be undeceived, but he learns faster as his trust increases. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down, it's safety, it's peace, it's joy, and it is God.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
it does. And all it takes is that trust that we are already, if we knew who we were, that's the difference between trust and faith. Faith is saying, I have faith that I reside in heaven. Trust is saying, I reside in heaven.
I'm sorry I missed that. I didn't get that exactly.
No,
Faith is saying
but it sounded, I don't know if I can repeat it. It sounded absolutely perfect in my head as I was, as I was saying it. Uh, um, so faith, faith is sort of saying that um, I know that at least in
doesn't
terms of,
faith rely on trust, right?
yes. So like faith in and of itself, um, without that trust. Like I can have faith in something without knowing, without having the experience. I can say I have faith in God, but if I haven't had the experience of God, I can't put my trust in God.
But you can't have faith if you don't trust.
I don't know. That's well, we will explore this for sure next week. Um,
All right.
and I mean, I see what you're saying, and I don't know if I would disagree. Um, but I sort trust seems to be the bedrock,
Yeah, definitely.
and my trust my when I reach that level of trust that the course is talking about, it can become unwavering, but my faith can be questioned. A little bit of doubt might enter with faith, but trust means you've experienced the actual presence of God, your place at home in God, and when you have that level of trust, which I don't have, I'm on that edge.
Hmm.
But
Maybe.
I don't know if you, when you reach that level of trust, you never have a crisis of trust, but people
Yeah.
can have a crisis of faith,
Trust is something that is developed.
right?
We
And
it's kind of like you earn your wings,
right,
kind of thing.
and that's right out of the course right there is the development of trust,
Right.
and it is extensive. There is one, two, three, four, and six stages of the development of trust.
Right. And
Um,
I think of faith kind of like relying on trust. I
right.
do.
Yeah, I seem to. I think that I might think a little bit opposite of that. That
Right.
because I always go with the, that phrase. I'm having a crisis of faith. My faith in Christianity, my faith in Buddhism, my faith in something. But
Faith in illusions, faith in
right,
the ego.
yeah.
Yeah.
But trust is like how can you have trust in the ego? Because the very nature of the ego is to let you down.
Well, what it says is that teachers, have learned that they can trust because they've learned that the world isn't, made of what they thought. They know that they've learned that something else is going on.
Right, right. Um, for me, faith sort of always implied the I hope. I hope. hope this is true. Um, Not for you. It always sort of has for for me. Maybe it's my Catholic upbringing. Yeah, I always told I had to have faith.
I was
Got to
going
have
to
faith.
say that faith, unfortunately, in my opinion, faith is so often associated as a religious
Right.
word.
And it was never based on something for me. Like, going to Catholic school and having they called it, religion class. It was never about religion. It was about, you know, how to be a
Faith,
Catholic. Um,
right.
and if you had any question, you got to have faith. Just gotta have faith. Don't question it. You got to have faith.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that has been deeply instilled in me when I think of the term faith. It is, don't question. Just have faith and, hey, hope for the best.
Mm,
Um, and trust means that um, I'm developing that safety because it's giving me something back. It's not saying blind trust. It's saying that you will experience your safety as you trust. I was
right.
verbing it up.
Which would be, a, a trust-based faith.
Right. I forget which guest I was verbing it up. Uh, that I don't, I have not developed trust, but I am learning. I am trusting. I am, uh, you know what I mean? I have not
You
developed
can't
that
say
trust.
you can't say that you haven't developed trust at all. But you can say that I don't feel like my trust is fully developed, or I've still
Right.
got,
I agree.
I have a sense that I've got a ways to go with trust.
And it is, as I mentioned before, and I've had several teachers in the course say, it's don't think of it as a linear path,
I agree.
because
Couldn't
the first
couldn't
stage,
agree more. And it kind of leads me back to that thing of, and you said it yourself, teaching what you need to learn. Um, eh, it just escaped me, but it was um, expectation. Don't feed yourself like some expectation of, oh, this is what total trust looks like and feels like, and what that would mean or whatever. It's like, even even if we have a just a teeny weeny inkling, a little spark, the that, like you say, that 1% and 99% on the other way, it's
right?
enough. It's more than enough.
Um, it always throws me for a loop. The development of trust in the course is, you have first you want to go this period of undoing, um, which I've seemed to have repeatedly gone through, and then there's that settling down, which I've gone through as well, which is nice. And you go, "Phew, I'm glad that's over, man. I'm get to settle down now." And then you go to the third, where the
You
what's it
thought
called?
you knew what it was, and then you find
Do
out that
not
you
the
didn't know.
period of relinquishment. And I'm like,
Right.
what the heck, man?
No,
So
then and
I go
then
from
there's
undo
you didn't know what to relinquish and didn't know. Yeah,
right,
right.
um, and then uh,
What might take a very, very long time,
right,
let go of judgment.
and then there's a stage, a period of unsettling, and there's a period of achievement where you think,
Mhm.
heck yeah, I did it. I'm here. I'm on the pinnacle. Um, that's when everything is consolidated.
But the very
Um,
last one is the one with judgment, which might take a long time.
right. That's the period of uh, the very very last is the finally is the period of achievement in which here the learning is consolidated. Now what was seen as merely shadows before becomes solid gains, to be counted on in all emergencies. as well as tranquil times. See, this is where it's been for me. I have not consolidated to the point where I feel that I can count on it in all of emergencies yet. Um, and but I've had it in um, in some periods where it did feel like emergencies. I had a very much settling into trust, making these end of life caregiving decisions for my father that I did not. I was convinced when my father said, "You have to make the decision," and I said, "I'm not supposed to make the decision.
Hmm.
I'm not the one that was designated, you know, to do this." And my father said, "You do it because you're the one that's been called to do it. No one else is going to do it. You've been with me through everything. You did the hard stuff, and you got to follow it through." Um, and bam, trust. It was there. I did things I didn't think I could do. I did not think I could make an end of a life decision for my father without completely falling to pieces. And here's what I found: I could do it, and I also could fall to pieces because it was okay.
Yeah.
That was trust. Um, but now, you know, probably my last. I don't want to say my last running back because as soon as I say it's my last, I'm thrown with 10 more. um, but the
That was
financial aspect.
Italian, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I got in trouble. I got timed out in a YouTube conversation with an Italian friend. Someone asked him in the chat, um, "Do you speak any other languages?" And he said, um, "My grandmother was Italian, and I used to be able to understand Italian, but since she passed away, I think he said like 40 years ago, um, I I don't think I could understand anymore." And I said, well, if you just talk and do a bunch of hand gestures, uh, or something along those lines. And his moderator said, that was rude and timed me out. But then he read it and he laughed and said, exactly. Because
Yeah, no,
it's a very physical
they know
language.
that about themselves, and there are even like reasons. I mean, clear reasons. I mean, until not so long ago, the end of World War II, the advent of television, um, Italians from different city states didn't understand each other. So, a guy from Sardinia, a guy from Sicily, Naples, Milan, Florence, wherever it was, Rome, Geneva, they were all the dialects are so strong that they weren't understanding each other, which is why they're
Oh,
gesturing all the
interesting.
time.
Um, I want to answer a question real quick from Adam. Yogi, do you trust yourself or you don't have faith in yourself? Uh, Neither, either, none of the above. Um, because it's not about me um, with the trust or the faith. It was putting my ultimate trust in the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? It wasn't about me. It was, can I surrender fully? Can I let go of myself fully and have the trust that I am ultimately guided to make every right decision by the Holy Spirit? So, like for me, um, I could say I trust myself to do this or do that or whatever, and I can say, yes, I trust myself because I've done similar things. But putting your ultimate trust in the Holy Spirit is a whole nother ballgame.
But you do trust, and I can say this because I've talked to you about it. About I don't know, trust is a huge word, I suppose, but
Yeah,
you do have a sense. Let's put it that way, that the Holy Spirit is within you.
yep.
It's inside of you. You do have a sense of that.
I've
Now,
had
so
the
really what we're talking about is, do you trust that you are coming from that sort of holy place? That that's the voice that you're going with rather than, the voice that
right,
is maybe less connected to
right, and
Christ.
this is a trust talked about in the Bible of the trust of the birds that they are cared for. um, and uh, or the trust in the lilies of the field. Um,
Yeah,
this is the trust that your um, ultimately your every need is met by the Holy Spirit. What you need will be provided for you along your path. It's the trust of, if you, the wonderful line, if you knew who walked beside you, um, fear would be
that is
impossible.
beautiful. Yeah.
And I'm not, I'm not saying that, we got those 6 levels of trust, and I am on that, I'm on that list. I've had profound experiences of trust, um, but I have come to those points of, that unsettling, that I still place a great deal of trust or faith in uh, in the ego in some circumstances. And one of my big blocks is in finances right now. That I feel like I have been led to do what I'm doing every step of the way,
Hmm.
um, and it's a wonderful experience. And then I get hit with this little bit of fear of a 6-year-old with a um, inexpensive phone and poor, spotty, often spotty internet connection can literally earn an income talking about the Holy Spirit, sharing the Holy Spirit. Um, there's that ego fear. Is it possible? But the trust is that I was led here, and if I was led here, then I got to take that next step. I just got to keep trusting.
Yeah. Or you feel that within you that that's something that you want to do.
Right,
I mean, I would. I've got things that are similar in my life, not financial so much as that, something, I get uh, i- in a communication thing, I feel led or guided to do certain things or think certain things, and maybe it's bulwarky, maybe
right,
it's certainly fallible if I thought it, it could go all sorts of ways, but something in me says, go with it. But I,
right,
take responsibility for it. I don't even know if it's like trust or faith. I just think of it as um yeah, a kind of acknowledging that we're following,
higher
our minds,
guidance.
what we're
Yeah,
putting out there.
yeah, following that higher guidance. I want to distinguish that from some of the trust that people are talking about in there. That having trust in someone, and once that trust is violated, it's hard to get it back. Well, I'm not talking about trusting a person, event, a situation. We're talking about ultimately giving your life over to being led by that higher guidance, knowing that the only source that's dependable is love, is God, and that you're literally giving your life over and saying, Holy Spirit, I don't, as Kat was saying, I don't know anything. Me, the ego, the small me, I don't know anything, but the Holy Spirit knows exactly what I need and what I need to do. And the more that I can listen to that voice with absolute trust and certainty that I am guided by love, the happier and the better. Hey, Yogi Bears, Neurodox, my life will be. So we're not
Right, and
saying
it's not connected to the idea of sacrifice.
right,
It isn't
not at
like
all,
you have
not
to
at all,
be
because
sacrificing anything.
everything that I've trusted up until this point that was not the Holy Spirit, um, that has been taken away, I've lost nothing, nothing, and I found that out through that loss, and that's what the course talks about in the Manual for Teachers. I thought I thought the end of a particular relationship was literally going to be the end of me. I had lost my mother, my father. I had lost my 2 dogs. I lost 2 cars, and now, you know, my ex-wife, but she was my partner, says, "I love you, but our time is up." And I thought, I've lost everything. But I didn't. But it felt like it. And that's that moment of unsettling that the course talks about. Because I put my trust, my well-being, uh, in that one person.
You're
And
always putting a power, all of those things are putting a power outside.
exactly. And trust is asking us to reclaim our power, to
Hmm.
true power.
Yep. Agreed.
Um, so that's
But dang, if the hardest part isn't like not judging, at least for me, the hardest part is I'm much easier going, I think, on most other people than I am on myself. When it comes to cracking people over the head, it's like I crack myself with, you see, I might as well give me a baseball bat and let me crack myself on the head.
right.
Yeah.
You had me at dang it because I could
What's
feel
that?
that. I said you had me when you said dang it,
Yeah.
because that's exactly how it feels. Is Kat sums that up perfectly with her dang it. That you know you reach that first level of trust that they talk about, and that's a nice place to be.
Mhm.
Um, and then you find that you are still putting in your faith in things that will ultimately can't be dependent on, and ultimately will let you down because you've given your power away. And it seems as if it was taken from you, but it wasn't taken from you. It was revealed as what it was.
Yeah, you were kind of it sounds wrong, it sounds like exposing yourself, but I'm talking about it in a mental sense, not in a physical sense. But yeah, it's like your thought processing is reflected back to you.
Right, right. Um, so I'm happy that I am um, developing that trust. But it's also, as you said, dang it, can be a scary place to be. But I'm fortunate in my life that um, I've recognized the benefits of being scared. It means I've tiptoed up to the edge and I'm peering over. Uh, and if the voice is saying leap, um, then I feel like I am preparing, preparing myself for that leap. But ultimately, I need to do it, and that's where the fears come in. That I just because I haven't
How
done
was
it
that
yet.
Zen? Do you remember that Zen parable about the mouse getting chased by a tiger and um and he chased him right to the edge of the cliff, and then there was like a strawberry hanging over the edge of the cliff, and like, what does the mouse do?
Um, I don't remember that. I remember. I think it's I think it's a Hebrew parable of a man who is being chased by a tiger, and he came to a cliff. He ran to the cliff, um, and he no choice. He jumped. Fortunately, he was able to catch hold of a branch, and he was holding onto a branch with one hand, and he could think
Like,
of
wait,
nothing
wait,
to.
wait, wait, wait. So wait, go back. So there was a Hebrew guy, and he was running to a cliff because he was being chased by a tiger, and
And
then
he
he
came.
had to jump.
Yep, and he
Huh?
leapt. He caught himself one arm on a branch,
Okay.
and he's holding onto the branch. There's a tiger up top, and there is the ground at the bottom, pretty far down. So
No
he's holding on there,
strawberry.
no strawberry. And he can think of nothing else to do but to pray. And
Okay.
he said, I need help. And
I'm gonna send you the Zen parable.
he heard a voice, a divine voice. It said, let go, my son. I will catch you. And the man looked up and said, is there anyone else up there? Um, and that's sort of where I feel. leap and I will be caught. But at the same time, I think, yeah, leap, but a check would be nice too. You know, leap and I will be caught. But hey, God, if you could send me a check to cover this
It's
bill, I'd
really,
be pretty happy.
one of my earliest memories is of having these dreams and have repetitive dreams about falling out of windows and falling to fast, falling out of buildings and just falling, and then I'd wake up, before the crash landing or whatever. And I'd have them over and over again. And and then I learned how to, like, what to do. I learned that I could be lucid basically and slow my
Right.
fall.
Um, Kat said, well, 3:30, and she can't wait until we touch upon the topic of uh, I need not defend myself. We did cover it a bit,
Yeah,
didn't
we we
we? We
we
did.
kind of we put it off. She's like another week of having to defend. Whereas, like we said, design your shield. You got to defend yourself. Design your shield. What does it look like? Yours was hairy and had peas on it.
It did. We did. We did touch upon defenselessness a little bit. That ultimately, and we read from the manual of teachers on
Okay, I'm going to say
defenselessness.
the one thing about it for Cat that I learned from A Course in Miracles, and it's been very helpful to me, which is the idea that we create what we're defending against. So if you have a defense against something, by your defending against it, you're actually creating it. Because again, you're giving power to something outside of yourself.
I like it. All right. With that, we'll wrap things up. 3:30. I got to get cooking. Um, and Ms.Blipper, thank you for everything. Very much
Thank you,
appreciated
dear.
everything that we covered.
Have a good week. Stay
You too.
warm.
Let me real quick before we go cover our guest Duncan Walsh, Fitness Motivation, is coming up tomorrow to answer any and all fitness oriented questions, diet questions, performance questions, whatever. On Wednesday, um, I have the Yogi Course Miracles. Jeff Bailey, he's coming up, and on Thursday, nobody. Saturday, I have the animal communicator, course student, and the animal communicator on Saturday. Sunday, Paul Hederman, who has a beautiful uh, YouTube channel, the Zen Bitch Slap, and he teaches non-duality and the path of sobriety. The two aren't related, but they are related. If that makes sense. And I think that's it until the following week,
Sounds good.
unless people reach out. So come on by and hang out with me this week.
All right.
Love you all.
Bye. Bye byes, everybody.
Bye, guys. I will see you in a little while.